I'd like to call to order the meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, first up is the superintendent and student member reports.
Ooh, last one, Miss Kibler.
The last time.
All right, we are going to be talking about the budget later in the evening, but before we hop in there, we've been following along. People have been following along at home. We just had the county commissioners on Tuesday, May 21st, give us final direction back to the Board of Education, where there was no modification to what they had discussed previously. So thank you very much to the county commissioners for moving forward. Thank you very much for everything that everybody has done to make sure that we are in a position to have an approvable budget coming before you later this evening. But that whole thing, when you go through the budget and money and stress and grants and jobs and taxes and whatever, you get stressed out. You start to have anxiety. People start to get worried. How wonderful that over this past weekend on May 18th, St. Mary's County Public Schools and the St. Mary's County Healthy Partnership came together at the Forest Center and really had an incredible event. Over 200 people attended, well over 200 people attended, 54 vendors participating, where they really talked about mental health and wellness, and there were breakout sessions and there were speakers. It was really great. This is, I think, the second or third year that it keeps on growing. This is a really wonderful event, and it's well timed because this is obviously a time of year when there's many things to celebrate, but there's also a great deal of anxiety, and then there's also the sadness as we prepare to depart and move on. So that was this weekend. Last time we got together, we talked about the staff recognition and what a great event that was, where we took the time and an evening to praise the people who do work in the classroom, as well as all those around them who support that work. Well, last week was the student recognition opportunity, and it was great. We recognized well over 150, almost 200 students. We talked about the arts, academics, athletics. It was a great evening. Miss Kibler brought warm and wonderful words. One of the things that was referenced right before that was the Becca Scholarship. What a great community partnership. We live in a very special place where our business community and our outside community partners come together to provide scholarships to our graduating seniors, both in the public and the private schools. 79 students were awarded 149 awards, $250,000 going forward to help them start the next phase in their lives. Really, really great event. And thank you very much to the Chamber of Commerce and Becca for organizing that wonderful event. Also last week we had the AMP, the Apprenticeship Maryland Program and Tech Job Rules recognition of all of our graduating seniors who have taken part and been involved in the apprenticeship program in St. Mary's County Public Schools. So that is 65 students and 33 different companies all hosted an apprentice. The apprentices worked minimally 450 hours, for which they were compensated at $15 an hour. And they earned not only experience, but they also were recognized on a transcript as well, because the learning wasn't just simply show up for work. It was actually learning about the profession. It was a great evening and afternoon, I guess. And thank you very much to everybody who hosted an apprentice. Most of the apprentices were offered full-time or part-time employment at its conclusion, and or some kind of a relationship as they go off to post-secondary work. to come back around. So if you haven't hosted an apprentice and you have a business in St. Mary's County, please reach out to the James A. Forrest Technical Center. Brian Glasper in particular is there, as well as Bonnie Kelly. They really are interested in expanding that program even further for the 25 school year. Theater arts. We had a great season. There were so many incredible performances that started right at the beginning of the year in the fall and carried us all the way through. Fantastic musicals in all our secondary schools, plays across our elementary schools, and as a result, we are recognized as being a premier theater education school system, truly a very limited recognition across the entire United States. And I just want to say, again, thank you to all of our fantastic performers who took the stage, but also thank you to all of our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, everybody that lent a hand to make sure these productions went off so beautifully. And in fact, one of them, the last performance that I was able to see was the Chesapeake Public Charter School. Erin, she's now Erin Gray. She was Erin Mallory. Erin Gray, the whole school, and particularly the third grade, they write their own opera, and then they have, everybody has a different role. There's some that are in marketing, there's some that are the writers, there's some that are the performers, there are some that are the electricians and backstage crew. A really great play this year. Every single year they have a theme. This year the whole school also did the Night of the Arts, so they had incredible artwork. But their play this year was all about compromise, and they were the Compromising Crabs. And so I asked for a t-shirt because it's such a cute little logo, and the premise was there are 5 students and they have an art project, and to do the art project they're to work together. And 4 of those students, they leapt into it. They relished the chance to work with their peers, to share ideas, to compromise. One of them did not. One of them didn't want to compromise. One of them only wanted to use his ideas. In fact, at one point, he throws black paint on a rainbow that they've been working on. And the good news is, the play, written by children, they have a narrative arc, and so that one student who didn't want to compromise and didn't want to be part of it, by the end of it, he came to realize that that's what's really rewarding. Everybody working together, everybody sharing their ideas, everybody compromising, because everybody has an idea, and we meet in the middle. It was a great evening, and they sent me my very own t-shirt, Miss Gray did, and it says Superintendent on the back. And so I'll be wearing that quite proudly, perhaps at the Leonardtown baseball and softball games that'll be going on for the state championship later this week. So, spring athletics, Chopticon High School, they had the state semifinalists for softball 3A region. Fantastic team. Mrs. Bailey and I were there in the game.
Broke the curse.
The game
They
before.
won.
The game before, right? Bottom of the 7th, parked it. Walk off.
Walk-off home run.
Walk off home run.
2 runs.
Oh my God! It was
Yes.
such a great night. So they did wonderful. The boys track and field 3A region champions, and individuals. Unbelievable the amount of time that goes through, and you'll see that Dominic Longobardi is in there again, Carson Mandis and Weston Carr. I mean, these are some of the fastest people ever. They just take off like a shot, both Dominic and Colton. So, Great Mills regional tennis champions, as well as all of the track champs. Really, just incredible group of people that are. It's a lot of fun to watch. It is a lot of fun to watch. And just in case you thought it was over,
There's more.
Leonardtown High School, the seniors might have been done with school classes last Friday, and they might be working on things this year. But for the softball team and the baseball team, they are the 4A regional champions, and they will go on to play. Baseball is on Friday night at the Regency Furniture Stadium at 7:30. Be there or be square. And Leonardtown softball girls are up at University of Maryland College Park, alma mater, at 3:30 on Saturday. It's going to be a fantastic day. I think the weather's going to hold out. It's going to be. We want to see more state champions. I never had the opportunity to put the medals over the heads of children that weren't like crying, whatever they were. So this is state champion for the first time in my history of being superintendent
Yeah,
that
the
I got
soccer
that.
team.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm saying this was the first year. I loved it.
That's
So
right. I know you put
I
down the
want
Crying
more.
Girls a couple
I
years
want
ago, yeah.
more. So let's see what we can do. So
We have our Raider Blue.
we have our Raider Blue. Senator Bailey got his cap
Did.
today, extra large. I'm going to see if I can get another one. So we'll be there. It's just
We'll be there.
congratulations to all of them, as well as tennis and track. I mean, we just have some fantastic athletes. So
So I will just correct you. So not only are the Leonardtown baseball and softball, they're the regional
Region
champions,
champions, but they
then
are-
you get reseeded to go onto the state
State,
tournament.
yes.
So they are now they are playing for the
for
state
the state championship.
Yes.
My
So,
apologies. Thank you
yes.
very. So because I was not as familiar with softball as I should be, I always call on a subject matter expert such as Mrs. Bailey or those in her orbit to correct me. I thought that I didn't realize
That they only played for
it slipped my, I remembered as soon as I said it, as soon as you said it. Seventh, and everybody, and they all were lining up. I was like,
So
what's
everyone knows, like, I mean, they hit the home run out of the park. Everyone's cheering.
Everybody's going
and Scott's
crazy.
Like,
I'm
"What's
like,
going
that's
on? I thought
awesome."
They play 9. I'm
and then
like,
they then they lined up to congratulate one another, and I was like, oh, all right, good. Constant, never-ending improvement. That's me.
Great.
Get better every day. So here we are in May. Or 2 days left in this week, Then we have a 3-day weekend, and everybody go off, have a great time. Please enjoy one another. Please let that all, and then come back with a purpose, because we have Chopticon, Leonardtown, and Great Mills High School commencements. They are going to be beautiful affairs, as they always are. They are going to be outside because we're crazy, and we have hope in our hearts. We just hope that the weather. We hope right now looks good.
It does look good right now.
If you
high of 72.
And so it also is streaming live with all of the. I mean, if you aren't able to go or you don't want to sit in the bleachers, you can stay home and watch that You can watch it on the largest TV, and it'll be perfect. You'll definitely see everybody walking across the stage, and we try to post that as quickly as possible afterwards. In the event that you are at the event, you didn't necessarily see your child, grandson, granddaughter, whomever, it will be posted usually within 24 hours, so you can go home and watch it the very next day. That gets us to June. We have 1 week in June. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is a half day, last day for kids. We come back, joint meeting with the county commissioners, last day for teachers, another Board of Ed meeting, and we'll put this one in the books. So, I'm going to hand it over to Miss Lillian Kibler, and in case you didn't know, she is the GIS Scholar of Distinction. She is the Leonardtown High School valedictorian, and she has the GPA of 4.7.
Something.
Oh, I guess it doesn't matter after 4.7.
I actually didn't know until today. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh! Right. So amongst that great group of people, and it's obviously quite an accomplishment. But you have given me great hope. This has not been an easy year. There've been a lot of things that have gone on, and so. Lily, that's you. There's a bird with feathers. Emily Dickinson. And for people who don't know, I torment people with poetry. I torment principals with poetry, with supervisors with poetry, children with poetry, the board, poetry. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Lillian. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being on the board this year. Thank you for all the work that you have done. Thank you for being you. And you never know who you may have inspired, as well as me. But as we talk to many, many children throughout this year together, you definitely are the example that we hope everybody aspires to. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll click forward. All right.
Thank you so much. That warmed my heart. Like, I will probably cry at the end of this. But so I do actually have some final words, my final bon voyages, but I do actually have an actual update for tonight because we are always busy. So first of all, good evening. I hope all is well with everyone. It is the home stretch for all of our seniors and for every student this year. Commencement and the last day of school are both just around the corner, so everyone stay strong. Good luck. We can do it. As the previous slide suggested, this is bittersweetly my last board evening for this board meeting this evening. Well, I'm not going strong tonight.
No, you aren't.
And I was sad to miss last week's due to an AP exam, but I'm excited to be here tonight, so let's get started. So in the past few weeks, as Dr. Smith mentioned, we were at the student recognition ceremony. I did have the privilege of giving a little speechy speech there. Congratulations to all who were recognized. It's an awesome achievement. Anything that was recognized, it was really exciting. And then just last night, I was at the LMS National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony, where all of our NJHSers, our new incoming NJHSers, were inducted by existing members in front of all their friends and family. It was super lovely, and I gave a speech there as well. I was super excited to have been invited to do so. And in the bottom corner, you'll see a picture with one of my favorite teachers of all time, Miss Kathy Sheehan, who is now a dear. See, there she is, the Washington Post Teacher of the Year. Yes. She is a dear family friend now after just 1 year together in middle school. That's just the kind of impact that she makes. She's the sponsor of NJHS for the chapter at LMS, so it was awesome to be invited and to get to see her. So that was that. And then, as everyone knows, last Friday marked the last day of school, like pretty much ever, for all of our seniors, including myself. So congrats to everyone. That was a really big day. We did it. But I do have just one last piece of homework for everyone if you haven't done so already, and that is FAFSA, which stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. This is applicable for any student going to a 2-year, 4-year school, online, trade or vocational schools. And MSDE asked all of the SMOBs to publicize that the deadline has been extended until June 1st, which is huge. FAFSA has been a mess this year. They tried to revamp the whole thing, and it didn't quite work out. It was a little bumpy road, but it's been extended to help everyone make sure they get it in because it is essential for receiving federal, state, and school financial aid. And it allows you to have access to grants, scholarships, and low-interest student loans as well. Just go on to that site right there. It looks like that. That's the logo. Just start a new form, and then they'll get you rolling for your future. So it's a great resource. It was kind of arduous this year, but definitely make sure to get that in there. And with that concludes my final report as student member of the board for 2024, which is a crazy thing to say. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do this now.
Keep the poem up, Scott, if you would like to.
Oh. Somebody doesn't like poetry? What?
I personally have always loved the poetry. I specifically ask that he does it at every SLAC meeting. It's my favorite thing to watch him present poetry. As you saw, he does it with real showmanship. It's very exciting. Oh, yeah.
So Lily, I will ask you to please come join me. So I am the vice chair of the school board, and as such, by policy, I am the person, or whoever is the vice chair, is the mentor and the liaison with the student member of the board. And it's been my pleasure to be the mentor for quite a few different student members of the board. Each year, the board welcomes a student who's been elected by students representing each of our secondary schools. That student becomes the student member of the board, affectionately known as SMOB. The role of the SMOB is to ensure that the student perspective is always present in all discussions and deliberations of the board. The SMOB is the voice of our students. And this year, we have been fortunate to yet again have a student who is fully vested in bringing the student voice and perspective to the table. Lily Kibler has spent the last year visiting every single school in the system. Lily came with a strong belief that it is important that students are connected, accountable, resilient, and excited to learn. And if you think about it, that's C-A-R-E, that students care. Lily set about to talk to students about those specific topics, asking them to explain what they mean, but also how they see them embodied in all they do. As Lily has shared the highlights of her visits during board meetings, she's offered another way for the community to understand more about what is truly going on in our schools. Her excitement about how SMCPS cares is quite evident. On behalf of the board, Lily, I congratulate you on a very successful year and for all the work that you did to connect with and share the voices of your fellow students. We wish you all the best as you graduate next week and she heads on to Yale University.
Yeah.
We know that she has, excuse me, we know that Lily has great things in her future, and we look forward to your many successes in the years to come. And so, Lily, this is from the board members. And we have a certificate of recognition for you. And so that you can take this to Yale, a desk set of sorts that we hope will remind you of the great times that you had with us and that we had with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Actually, thank you.
Would you like to see it?
I would. I actually wrote something, so I'll go down in my seat and I'll keep it going from there.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, we'll get that going. Okay. So, thank you so much, Miss Allen. Thank you for all these exciting things, these prizes. So I cannot express how much of an honor it was to hold this position. It has been impossibly enlightening and highly rewarding. And I promise I don't just say that just to say that, because there really is no other way to describe just how amazing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity really has been. It's been a pleasure to see firsthand how much everyone on this board and in this office genuinely cares about not just the school system and learning, but about every individual student. And for that, I'd like to thank all of the board members for welcoming me here this year, especially to Dr. Smith, my partner in crime, who was so gracious to allow me to drag him to all over the county to meet every fifth grader for that exciting adventure, and who has undoubtedly given his everything so that SMCBS could get through this tough year. His everything. And thank you as well to all the system leaders and Slack leaders who gave their time to Slack. And of course, thanks to the Slack kiddos themselves, who I will miss dearly. But I know that my successor, Hannah Heisler, who is awesome, will take such good care of you all and the whole county at that. It was also a pleasure to meet every single teacher who lent us their time out of their workday to see them and speak to their wonderful students and who give their all to their selfless professions. I also have to give a shout out to my parents and my family who've always tuned in to watch every single board meeting, without whom I wouldn't be here tonight. They did request a highlight, so I guess I have to finally say it. Hi, Mom, wherever she is. And finally, most importantly, I want to give a huge thank you to all of the kids that I met while traveling from school to school, and the kids who were kind enough to allow me to represent them this school year. And to the students of this county, whether you be the fifth graders or my own classmates, you all made my day every single day through the most heartwarming emails, the sweetest smiles, and your funny stories of what made you excited to learn, such as throwing Barbies off of roofs or lighting your hands on fire, which all sounds super exciting. I hope you all feel represented and seen by the board and the larger community, as well as feel more empowered and valued in your own voice. We as students are really lucky to come from such a small town like this where we can better connect to our teachers and leaders, all of whom I've loved and I will miss so dearly, while also receive more individualized attention for our education, where more people actually care, because SMCBS cares. So my final wish for each of you is that someday, whether it be in this county or somewhere else far and wide, that you recognize your roots, you realize your own power and potential, and above all else, just find happiness. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay. I don't know who can follow it up, but Mr. Burrs is going to try.
Well, now we're going to talk about art.
We're going to talk about art and more students.
Start us off kind of sappy.
That's not the right one.
It's almost
You can
time.
go to the podium.
Then we'll take pictures.
Dr. Smith, if you could please join me with your slide changing instrument.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good of you to remind him.
One here.
Yeah, I don't know. That one was working.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Well, good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Tonight, we are here to celebrate students whose artwork appeared in the third Superintendent's Art Gallery of the 2023-2024 school year. Each quarter for the gallery, artwork is selected to be displayed here in the Board of Education meeting room and in the hallway leading to Dr. Smith's office. After every quarter, we then gather to celebrate those young artists. As I often say, thank you for your continued support of our programs. Without your support and the support of Dr. Smith and his cabinet, programs like the one we are recognizing tonight would not happen. I'm grateful for your belief in the arts and for understanding that the arts allow our students to express and celebrate who they are. Artists joining us tonight, when I call your name, please come forward to receive your certificate, and then we ask for you to remain. At the end of the recognitions, there will be opportunities for individual and group photos. Please note the school listed on the artwork denotes the school in which the artwork was created. So without further ado, let's celebrate our artists. First, from Mechanicsville Elementary School with an untitled work, Michael Kaywood.
Keep you standing right here. There you go. Perfect. Great job.
And thank you to Principal Lynch for attending.
Yes.
All right, from Chaptacon High School with the piece Fall Walk, Kali Madryuski. And thank you to Principal Perner for attending. From White Marsh Elementary School with the piece Snowballs, Naomi Morgan. And thank you to Principal Steele for attending. From Dinard Elementary School with an untitled work, Kaylin Taylor. And finally, from Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School with the piece In the Wild, Reagan Wood. And thank you to Assistant Principal Farrell and Art Teacher Ms. Myers for attending. Congratulations to all the artists.
All right, now before we take a break and we're going to take pictures and do all of that fun stuff, does anybody want to say anything? You let your artwork speak for itself. And I just want to say thank you very much for being such incredible, creative artists and sharing that work with us. I walk down the hall, we're in these rooms, and we see it, and it reminds us that we are working on behalf of incredible kids, just like each one of you. So thank you very much. How about if we take a little break right now and we get some pictures taken?
10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have get the board out of there, and then we'll go over.
Are they back on? Okay. All right, we are reconvening. Let's see, we do not have any public, or we don't have a public hearing tonight. Do we have any public comment?
We have one.
Okay. If you would call that individual to the podium, I will read my statement.
Kelly Pete.
Okay, so the board welcomes public input on policies and issues affecting our schools. We take this time to listen and consider, but not comment. This is not the appropriate forum for negative comments or criticisms.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
sorry.
mic that'll be live.
Let's see, concerns about individual staff members that cannot be resolved at the level closest to the situation should be directed to the superintendent. We also keep in mind, please, that we sit as an appellate body in both student and employee appeals, so we cannot comment on or have prior knowledge of a case that might influence our ability to deliberate. Let's see, speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and you may not yield your time to someone else. And if you have any written comments that you would like to provide to Kim at the end, we can include them in our minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Keck. I live in Mechanicsville, and I'm speaking today as a concerned member of the community in St. Mary's County. As you may already be aware, bullying against LGBTQ+ students, as well as against LGBTQ+ faculty and staff, has been a recurring problem in St. Mary's School. So I'm here to ask the Board of Education to ensure that discrimination, bullying, and harassment are not tolerated in our schools. This means ensuring that LGBTQ+ students have their identities respected by school personnel, and that students who demean or degrade others face appropriate consequences. It also means ensuring that gay, bisexual, transgender, and non-binary staff are able to show up to work as their authentic selves without discrimination or harassment. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have,
Is there any way I can make a comment? Is it too late to make another comment?
yeah, typically we require them to sign in before the start of the meeting.
Okay.
So, thank you. Consent agenda, may I have a motion?
Tonight's consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes of May 8th, 2024, personnel teachers, and there are no administrative and supervisory appointments. So with that, I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. We have one action item tonight, and I saw Ms. McCord roaming around up here. And it is the approval of the fiscal year 2025 Board of Education recommended operating and capital budget.
Good evening. So after 6 months of work, we're finally here.
6 months of work, wow.
6 months.
Let's, a little bit more
Well, with the
than
Board of,
that.
directly with the Board of Education.
Yes.
We all began
Yes.
in September of 2023 to develop the FY 2025 budget. Just last week, we received the state aid allocation numbers for FY 25 from MSDE. And the distribution that you see on this slide is $7.8 billion in education funding across the state of Maryland, or an increase of 4%. An increase of 4% is what is being funded to support the blueprint. For St. Mary's County, it's an increase of 0%.
Well, and be clear that it's not 4% to fund the blueprint, it's 4% funding
From the state.
for school systems, period.
The funding increase for St. Mary's County is 0%. The amount reflected on the screen is $144.9 million coming from the state to support St. Mary's County Public Schools. An increase on this particular side of $310,000. These are the numbers directly from the state to support the unrestricted and restricted funds. You'll see on another slide that there's a $70,000 increase because a component of this is actually supporting our concentration of poverty restricted funds, so that will be reflected in a different funding source. The state aid distribution that comes to the counties is wealth equalized. So the amount that one county is getting from the state versus another, it can differ pretty substantially. For example, the increase for Allegheny is 21%. However, for Calvert County, it's a decrease of 20%. And not only is it wealth equalized, it also takes into consideration the September 30th enrollment and the September 30th economic demographics, the student demographics, which can include the economics, whether it's a special education student, whether they're an ESOL student, and whether or not they are a pre-K student. As a component of the wealth equalization, it then determines how much local funding is required. And the local funding is based on either a local share calculation or the greater of maintenance of effort. What is lacking in the maintenance of effort calculation, though, is any consideration for any kind of inflationary increases. The natural cost of doing business is not taken into consideration for maintenance of effort. Instead, it's factored in based on the dollar that you're receiving per child today becomes the baseline for tomorrow. St. Mary's County Public Schools is very efficient with the use of its monies. In fact, St. Mary's in the current fiscal year received $17,056. We are one of the lowest ranking school systems with regard to the per pupil allocation of funding when you're looking at both state and local funds combined, whereas Baltimore City has $22,751 per student. We stretch every dollar in St. Mary's County. Our unrestricted fund budget for next fiscal year includes significant support from our county commissioners, an increase from $127.3 million to $134.3 million, or a $7 million increase. This is after a lot of collaboration, partnership, and conversations with our county commissioners, our county administrator, Mr. Weiskopf, our county deputy administrator, Mr. Yingling, and certainly Jeanette Cudmore. We have also included a $6.5 million SMCPS fund balance, $512,000 for the charter school fund balance, the $143.3 million for state funding, an increase in the unrestricted fund of $70,000, $2.6 million in federal funds, and $2.4 million in other funding. Unrestricted fund budget of $289.9 million, or $9.3 million overall increase. Of the $6.5 million for the recommended planned use of fund balance, $1.2 million of it will go to support the bus driver retention, $2 million for OPED, HVAC control system of $1 million, teachers pursuing NBC Blueprint Schools incentive of $150,000, ELA secondary textbook adoption $2 million, math textbook adoption professional development $12,800, and building maintenance of $200,000, for a total of $6.5 million. And this is coming significantly from our utility savings that we've been able to recognize this year, as well as frozen positions. So during the course of the year, as positions have vacated in our unrestricted fund, we've been freezing those positions because we knew that we had the restricted fund grant positions that were expiring. So the plan is to move those positions into those frozen positions. That created a salary savings in the current fiscal year. And as has been prior years' practice, we've come before you at your last presentation after we've evaluated our year's costs and immediately rolled in to the next fiscal year's budget any anticipated or projected salary or budgetary savings for the current fiscal year. So we can immediately put those monies back to work in the new fiscal year for one-time non-recurring items. The unrestricted fund expenditure budget, you can clearly see that the increases are focused on salaries, compensation, bus transportation, and fixed charges for our health insurance increases. This slide demonstrates the MSD required categorical alignment of our funds. You'll see a $2.9 million increase in our instructional salaries and wages, $1.6 million increase in special education. Those are predominant areas of the compensation increases. $2 million increase in student transportation to support our bus contractors, bus drivers, bus aides, and $4.6 million in fixed charges. That supports our 10% increase in our health insurance account, as well as pension and Social Security increases. So an overall modest increase of 3.3%. Over the last couple of months, as we provided the monthly financial updates in the current fiscal year, I've spoken about the interest income increases that we've been seeing. Back in January of 2021, we were recognizing a 0.1% increase. However, now we're recognizing a 5.4% increase in our Maryland Local Government Investment Trust. That's staggering. It was a pleasant surprise to continue to recognize this level of an increase. We had budgeted $489,000. Back in FY21, we only recognized a $32,000 funding. This year, we're projecting to exceed our budget by about $2.2 million. And we have a great planned use for those monies. The recommendation is to actually defer those monies to be able to continue to provide support in FY25 for our teacher apprentice program. The teacher apprentices were funded under the Maryland Leads program. The Maryland Leads program are federal funds that are expiring September 30th of 2024. So the recommendation is to defer a component of these interest incomes and recognize it as an assigned fund balance as of the end of this fiscal year, and then use that fund balance under our restricted funds in FY25 for 1 year as a bridge year. The recommendation is for 1 year as a bridge year because the state, under House Bill 1157 and Senate Bill 937, passed the Grow Your Own Educators Grant Program. However, they didn't provide any funding in the current fiscal year, so the hope is that they will provide funding to continue to support this program, highly successful program for St. Mary's County in fiscal 2026. Not only that, but Dr. Marr has provided you with a communication update on the success of our teacher apprentice program. And our teacher apprentice program has been approved by the Department of Labor as a registered apprentice program, which opens up additional federal funds to support the continuation of this program. So FY25 would aid in providing that bridge year to pursue these additional grant opportunities going forward to continue this highly successful program. When we first started talking about the FY25 budget, we were speaking of a reduction of restricted fund positions of close to 100. And then at your last presentation last month, discussing the budget, we were down to mid-70s. Now with being able to maintain these 12 teacher apprentices, we're down to a reduction of 54.3 positions. This will absolutely still continue to be felt in our schools, but significantly different than the 100 positions previously recognized. And once again, these positions will be moving into vacated, unrestricted fund positions that we have frozen in the current fiscal year as attrition came about. All 5 pillars of the blueprint are being supported within the FY25 budget. We are supporting early childhood with a continuation of full-day pre-K. We are supporting Pillar 2 with the teachers and leaders with a $60,000 starting teacher salary, national board certification programs, implementation of the career ladder, and increased diversity. We are supporting Pillar 3 with college and career readiness through college and career ready pathways, dual enrollment courses at all of our high schools, and apprenticeship opportunities for our students. We are supporting Pillar 4, resources for student success, connected community resources, multilingual learner supports, and mental health, as well as Pillar 5, governance and accountability, funding tied to the students, to the schools, and to the blueprint revenue activities, as well as regular reporting. However, there are so many other components that are not supported under the blueprint for which our county commissioners continue to provide funding support for us. And that is safety and security, class size, arts, the athletics, the extracurricular programs, small schools, technology, transportation, utilities, and employee benefits. All of these areas are being supported through the additional funds beyond maintenance of effort. And when we focus on Pillar 5, the governance and accountability, there are 3 tiers of the new required reporting, financial reporting and allocation of resources to programs. We have the funding tied to the student. So we've historically recognized funding increases or decreases based on our enrollment. But now we have to tie those students, the funding to the enrollment and the demographics at the school level and to the Blueprint program. So more specifically, when we're receiving our per pupil allocation funds for foundation funding, for example, we're recognizing a 1.7% increase in the foundation program from $8,642 to $8,789. However, that's wealth equalized. So we're not really getting $8,700 from the state. We're only getting $5,093 or 58% of that from the state. The rest comes from the local share, $3,696. For compensatory education, we're not even receiving a 1% increase in that component of our funding. Pre-K funding, we are receiving a 12.15% increase. English language learners, 3.7%. Special education, 9.43% increase. However, with transitional supplemental instruction, a 23% decrease. And in fiscal year 26, that will be our last year receiving TSI monies. And a slight increase in college and career funding of 4.94%. When we receive those funds, we have to allocate it out to the school based on the school's demographics. So for example, if a school has student A, they will receive the base foundation amount of $8,789. However, that same school will have a student that's receiving compensatory education funding because they're economically disadvantaged. So that school will require additional funding for that particular student of $16,348. But we'll also have a student at that school that is an ESOL learner and requires additional special education support. That student will receive $34,014. Once again, state and funding and local funding money combined. So for each school, we need to figure out how many students we have that meet each one of those components, and that's how much money needs to be allocated and accounted for at those individual schools. And we've done that. So the other component of the blueprint under the governance and accountability is meeting the 75% minimum blueprint funding distributed to the school. Section 5234 states, for each school, the county board shall distribute the minimum school funding amount for the applicable program multiplied by the school enrollment for the applicable program. And we've done just that. We've added additional pages into your budget document that specifically aligns the funding to the program to the school. And we've met that in the aggregate for each school. Dr. Smith?
Oh, I don't really have, I'm
Anything more to
speechless.
say?
The amount of work and the acrobatics that are required to meet the reporting requirements and things such as this, it is dizzying. And it's very easy to confuse somebody quite quickly as far as where the money is, who has what, how much it is. You can very quickly befuddle and overwhelm, and then somebody just throws up their hands and says, that's that. What you need to recognize is that here in St. Mary's County, we're going to spend the time to put it all together. We are educators at heart. Our CFO is probably one of the greatest educators I've ever had. She's taught me things I didn't want to learn, but I've learned a great deal. This is the most challenging budget I've ever seen put together, and I want to go back to the slide that shows all the things that aren't in the blueprint, and I want everybody to understand that there are moments when the county commissioners, and we might have times where we're disagreeing, and because we're talking about money and resources and all these things. But what makes St. Mary's County Public Schools special? And when you go see a child performing on a stage, or you see a manageable class size, or you see safety and security with envelopes and security cameras and all of the things, when you see state level athletics where we are winning state championships, all that comes about because the county commissioners fund us above flat funding. And I know that they had to make a really difficult decision, and I know that whenever you say to somebody your taxes are going to go up, nobody wants to pay more. Nobody ever wants to pay more. But we want to have all of these things, and our kids deserve all of these things, and the investment that we make in our children for all of these things are the things that are going to make memories and make sure that they have a 4.7 GPA and they get to go to Yale. And that really is, I mean, this is, I've been watching all the other systems and all the things that are happening, and we have little bits of it here too as well. But at the end of the day, God, I'm proud of this. I'm so proud to be in this county, to be doing this work with these people and for these kids. It is very much so. I'd like to say thank you to the county commissioners for the way they have gone about business this year. I hope that the budget hearing, they felt it, and they felt that it's a really great county, and it's a really great school system, and it's a really great place to live, work, and raise children. And that's because we do have leaders across the level who do the right thing and support us. So to them, thank you very much. They are all we're always compromising crabs, so we always get through at the very end. So I just want to, that's the only thing I have to say is I am thankful, and I am full of hope, and hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul.
Any questions? Lily?
I have no questions, but I mean, once again, this is amazing. Thank you. We just bravo.
No questions, but thanks.
I'd just like to make a comment, if that's okay.
Sure.
I guess I was that student that took the black paint, and splashed the rainbow there when I did not approve of the budget. But I think it just stirred up some things, because we have to be considerate for the taxpayer too. Yes, it's all about the children, I get that, but I know the comments that I've been hearing, and I just, wanted to just make a statement and say, hey, there are people out there that want the best for the students and for the schools and everybody to be happy, but we want to make sure that they're taken care of and they want to stay in the county, not have to leave because it's getting too expensive.
Right.
So I shook it up a little bit. I might compromise. I don't know yet, but I'll hear from
I've seen
everybody else.
compromising. It's very good. And anybody who wants to leave St. Mary's County, don't go to any neighboring county in the state of Maryland,
No.
because you're going to be paying more in taxes than you are here, with the exception of Talbot.
Mary?
Thank you, Mrs. McCourt and your staff, superintendent, board members, and everybody who had input into the budget. It was a long and hard process, but we have been able to do some things like keep Grow Out Educator program going, supporting the 5 pillars, supporting programs that benefit students that were not funded through the blueprint. So we have done many great things. No one will lose their job.
Right.
Everybody will have a job, and you were strategic in how you planned that. You knew it was coming. The funding would be cut. It would be less, but we wanted to maintain our good staff that we have. So kudos to everybody that worked hard on this, especially Mrs. McCourt and her team, and everybody. We have to prepare our students for the future. They are the future, and we have to make sure that they are ready, college and career ready. And we have to make sure that we have a staff that is adequately supported with resources and pay so that people will want to come to the county. It is a wonderful place to live, work, and play and raise a family, but we also have to make sure that we pay our educators and our staff so they want to stay here. And we've done that. And so we have a negotiated agreement, and we're gonna work with that. We have it, it's agreed upon, and I fully support it. And we move forward. Despite the challenges, we always have to go forward, not backwards. We just have to go forward and do what's best for the students.
Kathy?
I'm grateful to the county commissioners who really stepped up. But I'm also grateful to Dr. Smith and to Mrs. Bailey and to Mrs. McCourt, because the three of you really spent a great deal of time walking the commissioners through the entire budget. You met with individuals, you really helped them to understand exactly what's in the budget, but also what's in the blueprint. I think because it's such a massive document, such a massive piece of legislation, there are a lot of people that really don't understand all of the pieces that are a part of it. Last week, I was the presenter for our Rotary Club in Leonardtown, and I talked about the blueprint and the impact that it's having on St. Mary's County. And people came away, they were shocked. They knew about the teacher raises, but they didn't know about anything else. And I think it opened a lot of eyes to exactly what's there, and the good things and the not so good things, the things that were well thought out and the things that I think were not at all well thought out. And so we meet twice a month, but we're very active in making sure that our voices are heard in a lot of different places, and we will continue to do that. But I do have to call out Mrs. McCourt and Dr. Smith and Mrs. Bailey, because I'm not sure that we would be in the position we are now with the additional funds had the three of them really not gone above and beyond to make that happen. And to help the commissioners understand fully. And so I thank you all for that. And that's all I've got to say.
I'm just going to wrap up. I'm glad this slide is still up here. There's been a tremendous amount of discussion over the past 6 months and longer about our budget. This slide, if you look at what the state provides, which is not on this slide, and all of these things that really make a school, and Lily, you can attest to that, is what is on this slide. And that's what our county commissioners are funding. There are very few programs within the county that touch everyone, and education is one of them. You can't get ahead, you cannot make your life better or different unless you have a solid education. And that is what this is all about. So I know everyone, you focus on the dollar amounts, Dorothy, and I completely understand, where you're coming from. But education is the way that we make people's lives better. And there's just no other way around it. And it touches every single citizen in this county, regardless of whether you think that, you have a child in school or a grandchild, it is still impacting you. And that's really what we went to the mat for this year. So with that, I am finished with my comments, and if anyone doesn't have anything else, then may I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the FY 2025 budget as presented and forward to the Commissioners of St. Mary's County for their review and approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We do not have any information items, and our next board meeting is going to be on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. Executive session at 8 o'clock, and the open meeting will begin at 9. And with that, we are adjourned, and congratulations to all of our graduates.
Yes.
The festivities start next week.